Have you ever been staring at a pricing page and felt like one option was just obviously the right choice? Like it was practically calling out to you? Well, I've got news for you. That was no accident. The prices you see every day are specifically designed to influence you, often in ways you don't even realize. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain. We'll start with a neat little pricing riddle. Then we'll unpack two super powerful tactics, the decoy and the anchor. After that, we'll get into the one core human bias that makes all of this work. And finally, I'll give you a blueprint so you can spot these tricks out in the wild. All right, let's dive right in with a curious pricing riddle. This is a perfect example of how a seemingly simple offer can be engineered to totally trick your brain. Okay, picture this. You're at the grocery store and you see a special on milk. You've got two options. Just take a look. Which one is the better deal? So on the one hand, you've got one bottle for $1. Simple enough. On the other, 5 bottles for $7. Now, you're no dummy. You do the quick math and realize, wait a second, 5 individual bottles would only cost $5. You figure the shopkeeper must have made a huge mistake. So you feeling pretty clever, you grab the 5 individual bottles and save yourself $2. But when you get to the counter and point out the error, the shopkeeper just smiles and says this. See, the goal was never to sell you the bundle. The goal was to get you to buy 5 bottles of milk instead of the one you probably came in for in the first place. That weird $7 offer was just there to get the number 5 stuck in your head. Now, that little milk trick, that was just the appetizer. Let's see how this same idea gets scaled up into a multi-million-dollar strategy. We're diving into what's called the power of the decoy, and you're about to see how a completely useless option can actually be the most valuable one on the entire page. Okay, so here's a classic real-world example from the magazine The Economist. A while back, they had a problem. They offered 2 subscriptions, and a whopping 68% of their customers were going straight for the cheaper online-only option. Their more profitable premium package? Yeah, it was pretty much being ignored. And this chart just lays it all out, right? That massive 68% slice for the $59 option, it shows you that when we're given a simple choice, most of us tend to play it safe and just go for the cheaper one. So how'd they fix this? Well, they didn't lower their prices. They did something much smarter. They added a third option, a decoy. Take a look at option C, a print-only subscription for $125. Now, this is an objectively awful deal, right? It costs the exact same as the online plus print bundle, but you get way less stuff. It's literally designed to be useless. And the results were just insane. With that one useless decoy on the page, the choices completely flipped. Look at this new chart. An incredible 84% of people now chose the premium option. The cheap option, it tanked down to just 16%. And of course, just as they planned, 0 people chose the decoy. So what on earth just happened? Well, this is a psychological principle called asymmetric dominance. The decoy's whole job is to be compared to another option and look obviously worse. It takes away the difficult decision of, online versus print plus online, and it gives us a super easy one. Print only for $125 versus print and online for the exact same price. All of a sudden, that premium option looks like an absolute steal. So a decoy influences what you choose. But what about influencing how much you're willing to spend? Well, that brings us to our next psychological tactic, the art of the anchor. This is all about guiding you to the exact price a company wants you to pay, without you even knowing it. You know, every business owner has this fear. If I raise my prices, I'm going to scare away customers. Or maybe even worse, my own sales team won't have the confidence to sell at that higher price point. Well, entrepreneur Alex Hormozi developed a fascinating psychological process to get around this exact problem. Here's the key. You don't start the conversation with the price you actually want. Let's say your goal is to sell something for $3,000. First, you introduce a much higher price, say $4,000. That very first number you hear becomes the price anchor, and from that point on, every other price is going to be compared against it. So here's his 4-step playbook. First, you keep the old, lower price as a basic payment option, so your sales team still has a comfortable home base. Second, you anchor the whole conversation high with that $4,000 price. Third, you present your real goal price of $3,000 as a fantastic prepayment discount. And for a little extra spice, you can structure any payment plans with an uneven split to make paying in full feel like an even smarter move. It's just like Hormozi says here, you're completely reframing the sale. You're not trying to upsell someone to $3,000. No, you're downselling them from a $4,000 anchor, which makes the price you wanted all along feel like this incredibly generous discount. Pretty clever, right? Okay, so we've seen how decoys change our choices and how anchors change what we're willing to pay. And they might seem like totally different tricks, but really, they are both powered by the exact same quirk in our brains. And that brings us to the most important part of this whole explainer. It's all about comparison. If you take one thing away today, let it be this. As humans, our brains are actually not that great at figuring out the absolute objective value of something. Like, what is an online magazine subscription really worth? Who knows? But what we are absolute experts at, what our brains are built for, is making comparisons. And that's exactly how both of these tactics get us. The decoy makes you compare that useless option to the premium option, so the premium one suddenly looks like a clear winner. The anchor makes you compare that high initial price to the discounted price, so the discount feels like a fantastic deal. Both tactics simply give your brain an easy comparison that leads you exactly where they want you to go. All right, so the theory is pretty fascinating, but let's make this practical. How can you actually spot these tactics when you're out there shopping? Well, that's what we're covering in our final section, your pricing blueprint. Okay, so here are 3 common ways you will absolutely see the decoy blueprint being used. First, for software, you'll see a middle tier that's just a little bit cheaper than the Pro version, but it's missing one critical feature you know you'll need. Or for physical products, you might see a small bundle of accessories priced just shy of the main product, making the main product seem like a way better value. And for subscriptions, you'll see a monthly plan that has some annoying little catch, like a setup fee, specifically to make the annual plan feel smooth and hassle-free. So just remember this, more often than not, the most profitable and strategically important part of any pricing page is the one option that nobody is ever supposed to actually pick. Its only job is to make something else look better. And that leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're shopping and you see those classic 3 pricing tiers all lined up, I want you to stop for a second and ask yourself this one simple question. What are they really trying to sell me here? Because now you know exactly how to find the answer.